Welcome to Mission Bound. My name is Tom, and this is
Mike who?
Mike James, 2004 NBA champion. And we are here today with, we got a special guest that's going to be here. We're going to be talking a little bit about sports. We're going to talk a little bit about life and leadership. And Mike, take it away. Who do we have on the show today?
Man, I'm excited to be able to introduce my guy. Tracy McGrady, a 7-time NBA All-Star, 7-time All-NBA selection, 2-time NBA scoring champion, and 1-time winner of the Most Improved Player Award. He was inducted into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame as a class of 2017.
Come on.
McGrady entered the NBA straight out of high school and was selected as a 9th overall pick by the Toronto Raptors in the 1997 NBA draft. To elaborate on that, Mac, to get straight into it, what you experienced is a great feat by leaving high school and going straight to the NBA and skipping college. And you hear about so many players making this decision now in the G League, enforcing it, and guys going overseas. What do you think is the challenge that these kids are facing, and do you approve of the age limit and what's happening now?
Well, we're talking about the age limit. I think it's 19 now?
Yes.
And so you got to be removed from high school at least 1 year. When I was coming out, it was, fresh out of high school. I don't agree with it. I heard they're going back to having guys be eligible to leave high school and go straight to the pros, which, I think if you're good enough, why not? I mean, they do it in baseball, they do it in other sports. So I don't like the age limit. I think the challenges is, leaving from high school to the pros. There's a lot of guys that come from broken homes or comes from poverty and never really had anything. So instantly overnight, you become this millionaire. And it's how do you go from, not having any money to being able to buy anything that you ever wanted? How do you juggle that? And how do you handle the pressures that are coming, family and friends that feel like you owe them something, just because they probably bought you a burger or something when y'all were younger, when, after the Friday night football game,
now you owe them a house.
Right. So everybody expects something. And I think, the mentality that these kids got to have is having an uncomfortable mentality. Just because, you've made it to this point thus far, don't be settled. Don't be comfortable with just making it there. And I think you still have to be uncomfortable and work as if, you still got a lot to do, which you do. Your goal. I think a lot of us, when we were younger, our goal was to make it to the NBA. Mm-hmm. So when we make it there, it's like, you relax. Okay, I'm satisfied now. Nah, you still got a lot to go. So I think those are some of the challenges that, they got to have that uncomfortable feeling moving forward and still recognize, the surroundings, the people that surrounded you and not having them take advantage of your situation.
So what was the hardest thing for you entering the NBA so young? Looking back on it, what was the big struggle, the challenge?
I think for me, I knew I could play. I had game. There wasn't no denying that. I think the challenge was you being the number one player in high school and you come to the NBA where, these are the greatest players on earth. And my situation was my coach had an old school mentality. He felt like I wasn't doing enough. So I was getting rolled a lot by my coach, ridiculed, and he didn't have no confidence in me. My coach, my first year, my rookie year, he placed on me that I will be out of the league in 3 years. He actually said that to me. He was like, this kid is going to be out of the league in 3 years because he doesn't work hard. He doesn't care about the game. And I just felt like he wasn't teaching me the game. He didn't put enough time to instill the NBA game into an 18-year-old kid that they just drafted out of high school. And that's why I had to get him up out of there. He didn't know how much pull of power I had, but I had a lot being young at 18 years old. So, I had to get him up out and had to get somebody that instilled structure around building me as a player and as a person, because I was still maturing as a teenager into a man's league. So
Matt,
it was tough my first year.
Wow.
is it safe to say a coach means a lot for a young player where they go? That means a lot. So what system they play in, that's going to determine basically their career.
Man, your coach and the system means everything. I've come across, I've been in the league, well, we've been like 20 plus years, but in my first few years, I've come across a lot of young talent that was probably up to the level where I was talent-wise, but because they were put in the wrong system, coach didn't instill confidence in them, give them that confidence. They were gone in like 2 or 3 years. And it's sad. It's just, guys got to get put in the right situation at the right time. You got to get put with somebody that has patience, that instills a great work ethic, teachable moments, and is willing to help you grow as a basketball player and as a man, especially when you're a young player.
You mentioned something about your coach helping you grow as a man. Is there an instance in your life you remember where a coach said something to you and it was bigger than the basketball court, it was bigger than sports, it was like, oh, that's a life lesson, I need that, I want that? Is there any that you can remember and you're still carrying with you today?
Coming from a small town in Florida, Central Florida, of 10,000 people, I really didn't have much growing up. A lot of people around me didn't have much growing up. And I just had a coach. My younger days just stayed on top of me and asked me if I wanted to stay in that situation forever, or if I wanted to work and do the necessary things to get up out of that situation and get my family out of a situation and turn it into a better. Because there's a lot of people, and Mike, you know this, we have so many, people come before us that are just as talented as we are, but they became local celebrities. I didn't want to be that statistic of being a local celebrity. So I just had somebody just give me that advice. Do you want to be this local celebrity, or you want to be somebody that actually makes it up out of here and make a difference and have an impact on not only community, but globally?
Let me ask you this question here. What does greatness mean to you when you played the game of basketball? When did you feel like you've arrived, not just as a good player, but you made that step into a position of, I'm considered, God bless his soul, but I'm named now with the Kobe Bryants. And, when did that transition, and when did you start seeing that in yourself?
And when did you feel like you belong there? Like, I am in greatness and I should be there.
I got to say, for me, coming out party was 1999, where I felt like I really belong. And I always saw myself as a Scottie Pippen type, being able to do everything. But my last year in Toronto, we played the Knicks in the first round of the playoffs. And this is the big stage, Madison Square Garden. It gets no bigger than that in the playoffs. It was my first year playing in the playoffs, and my first game, I had 25 points. And after that game, I felt like if I can play like this at early in my career on the highest level of basketball against this competition, such a young age, then I'm on my way. I felt like I belong because I'm playing against Latrell Sprewell and Allen Houston and these guys, and the tough New York Knicks. And my first playoff game, I go out and I have 25 points, and that just gave me a boost of confidence and helped me excel moving forward in my career. So that next year, I obviously get traded to Orlando. And I averaged 15 points my third year in the league. My first year with Orlando, I go from 15 to 26 points. And I felt like that was the time, that I arrived. So, I mean, it's your third year in the NBA, you're going to realize who you are as a player. Third or fourth year, you're going to realize who you are as a player. And I realized that in those playoff series.
That's amazing. Mike and I are doing this series, and you played in the NBA with Mike. I know you're friends with Mike. And one of the things that we love to do is we love to share embarrassing stories or positive stories, whichever feels comfortable. But give us your best Mike James story that you've got. And it can be on the court or off the court. What's your best Mike James story?
I think you can just keep it,
Yeah, rated G, PG.
It's a family show. Just remember, family show.
You said you was a pastor or something like that.
Yeah, I used to be a pastor.
I'm joking. I think because Mike was such an aggressive player, such an aggressive point guard, and had a scorer's mentality. I just go back to when we were in the playoffs against Dallas, and Mike was running point at the time, and I think we just came out of timeout, and it was a play for me. It was a play for me, like a single double or something to come out. So Mike got the ball. Mike is so thirsty and hungry and ready to go one-on-one, right? So I'm yelling at him, right? This is high intense basketball. So I'm yelling at him, run the play. And I'm saying some other things, right? So he comes down, backs out, runs the play. I come off a pick, and he passes me the ball, and I knock down a jumper. I said, that's why you run the play. And that's me, trying to calm him down, because I know nobody can really guard Mike one-on-one. And I know how, excited he was to take his man off, but I had to calm him down in that moment and let him know, hey, man, run this play right here so we get a great shot.
To speak on that, you did get open that play, but the one time I did break it, you was getting denied. And you were still cussing me, and I'm like, do you want me to turn the ball over right now? Like, what am I supposed to do? So when in doubt, go to the basket. Like,
so you remember that play when I got on you?
When I waved you off one time, and you cut the next time.
How did you feel being waved off by Mike James? How did that feel?
Hey, yes. He better be lucky you scored on that.
You know what, Mac? We was talking about what did greatness mean to you when you played and when you arrived there, and now being retired, what does greatness mean to you now?
I bet it looks totally different.
Inspiring, bro. Inspiring. That's what it's all about. For the things that I've learned over, my 20 plus years being in the league, and the knowledge that I've received over those years, now it's all about just inspiring the youth, giving that game. You know what I mean? Being inspirational to those that's coming after me. That is greatness. That to me is the ultimate greatness, is what are you doing with what you learned, what you know, and giving back to, these kids out here, giving back to the youth and inspiring them. And to me, that is the ultimate part of just being great and fulfilling greatness. It's not about yourself. Don't climb that mountain up, to the top and you by yourself. Who you going to pull up there and bring with you?
What are you dreaming right now? What's the big dream inside, like your head? Like, if we could do this, boom.
Mine is about building an empire. That is my dream, the ultimate dream. I think, where I come from and what I endured, over these last 20 some years, it's all about just building an empire. I'm here with a wife and 4 kids, and, building that empire and leaving a great legacy behind. That is my dream.
That's amazing. So obviously the NBA has changed dramatically this year, right?
Yeah.
Like you're an ESPN analyst and you're not even working the last few months, right?
No, I am. I'm working from home.
Are you really?
Yeah, Zoom is a great thing.
I see those cameras back there in the background.
Yeah, he's still working, of course.
Well,
Mac, what do you think about this season? And let me ask you, it's a double part question. And does it count this year? Whoever wins the championship?
Of course it's going to count, because when you look in the record books, there ain't going to be no asterisk or say this don't count. Okay. They're going to put it in there, and it's going to have a champion written in those books. So, yeah, it's going to count. However, I think we'll be a fool to say that they are a legitimate champion, though, because it's really, to me, only a 2 or 3 month season. This is not like going through the journey. You playing 8 games and then playoffs to win a championship. It ain't, 81, 82 games. No, this is LeBron James is fresh. He's 35 going on 36. This ain't him going through a whole season and the rigors that season enduring your body. This is him 2 months or 8 games to try to win a championship. So I think this will be the hardest championship that whoever wins it wins, because of the circumstances. No fans. I mean, I just don't know how that's going to affect some of the players. I know it wouldn't affect this guy right here, because he's like, Mike is a pure hooper, and we have some pure hoopers. Like, that's guys that don't need a system, don't need crowd. Like, you toss the ball out, they're going to be who they are. Some of those guys need to feed off the energy that's coming from fans, and I think that's going to be extremely difficult. Like, the motivation is to win a championship, but it's like where you get that energy and where's that passion is going to come from? Who's going to, give that to you, because we don't have fans? So I think this is going to be a very difficult championship that they're going to win. And yes, it's going to count as much as we don't want it to.
So you mentioned it might help LeBron this year. Here's my question. Which teams, in your opinion, could it hurt, and which teams could it help, being that the 8 games left going straight in the playoff? Who's going to get the advantage off of this?
Well, I think you look at the Lakers, who is still a contender, but I think this whole stoppage has hurt the Lakers, considering they won't have their best defender. Avery Bradley is not going to play. Dwight Howard is up in the air. They don't know if he's going to play. However, I expect that he will. So the Lakers are a little bit of a question mark. I think the Clippers, who I had to win, that was my preseason pick to win the championship anyway. I think they're still the favorites. But I want to throw one other team who I didn't think had a chance to win a championship this year, and I'm not biased about this, but I think the Rockets have a great chance to win the championship. And reason being is they have 2 pure hoopers, and that's James Harden and that's Russell Westbrook. Yep. Russ rolls out of the bed going 100 miles per hour. He doesn't need the crowd to feed off. James, in this, he's a pure hooper. He doesn't need the crowd. And I think it's going to help him, because he doesn't have the pressure he would have before. What happened to perform at a high level in front of 20,000 people in the Toyota Center to get them over the hump. Now it's nobody to boo him and say all kind of crazy stuff. It's just him going out and hooping. And he's one of the most dangerous guys to put in that situation. And combining with Russell Westbrook, I think they're a team that, people really need to consider as one of the favorites.
That's amazing. And obviously, T-Mac, we're filming this in Houston, and I don't know if I can share this, but you live in the Houston area, right? So is there any, and you played on Houston, right? Yeah, you don't. No one knows where T-Mac lives.
I don't know where, no. I just live on Earth.
He lives in Cuba. Don't say anything. Here's the deal. If you think the Rockets have a chance, who do you think shouldn't even bother going? Who should just be like, stay home, skip Orlando, it ain't going to work for him?
We have Sacramento, I think. Are they invited? I know it's like 8 teams that are not invited. Washington Wizards, stay home, no chance. Who else is in there? Is the Phoenix Suns in there?
Do you like the Pelicans?
No, I think the Pelicans. I think the Pelicans can at least win a round. I do that, and the reason being because they're young and they're energetic. And they also have some ballers over there as well. So I think they have a chance to win a round. I don't think they're a competitor to win the championship, but they at least can do something in the playoffs.
Now, Mac, let me ask you this. What happens when the superstar catches COVID?
Well, I'm sure they thought about that, and Bud's just going to have to quarantine for 14 days. He's just going to have to be without his team for 2 weeks. and hopefully they hold it down. That's like, hey, man, he get a high ankle sprain. COVID is COVID.
Yeah. Did you just compare COVID to a high ankle sprain?
I'm just saying he's going to have to be out for 2 weeks, and hopefully, he's asymptomatic. He's not that bad. He just tested positive for it. He don't have crazy symptoms.
You know what, Mac? One more question on this topic is what do you think about the players being secluded at Disney World? And how you think that's going to be, as far as them moving around and being antsy after games, wanting to hang out, wanting to get out.
Look at this. Listen, get to the question, bro. You already know what you're going to ask, bro. Don't be trying to come at me like that. Just go ahead and ask me the question. You already know what time it is. Just ask me what you want to ask me, brother.
I mean, don't be trying to players are going to be able to just play ping pong and just take little walks.
You like this, man. You like this. You squirrel.
I'm trying to be politically correct about it. So do you think the players are going to just be able to be good with just playing ping pong and taking walks around the park?
No. Rules are meant to be broken, and they're going to be broken in the bubble. Please believe that. These guys have a lifestyle they have to live. You know what I mean? They have things that they do to give them motivation, help them live and express themselves on a daily. So, no, it's not going to happen. I don't see it happening.
So do you think the NBA will actually enforce this? Do you think, like, if they do what they do, is it going to be enforceable?
They would have to. But I think they're going to have to really enforce some fines. I mean, because, listen, if they're creating this bubble, obviously we know, that these guys can go out, get contact with some people who are positive for COVID and bring it back into the bubble, and then it spreads like wildfire. So they're going to have to really come down, bring the hammer down on what the ramifications will be if they break the rules. And I'm saying there will be some guys that probably break the rule, but that penalty has to be real steep to really have them think about going outside that bubble.
What do you think it should be? What's the penalty? If you were in that spot, what would make you go, I'm going to think twice?
I think a suspension, at least a 3-game suspension.
Wow.
3-game suspension, first offense, 5-game next. Yeah, something like that. Because we're only talking 8 regular season games. You know what I'm saying? So we're talking 8 regular season games. So your suspension could cut into the playoffs, or it could be when you're in the playoffs, right? I think these guys will be good for the first week or two. But as you get into 4 weeks, 5 weeks, then, that's going to be a little challenging.
Well, we shall see how it's going to go. T-Mac, this has been an absolute honor to have you on Mission Bound here today. Thank you for hanging out.
And to clarify, no, I'm not comparing ankle sprain to COVID.
Not the same.
All the good things you said, you thought that would be the tweet, right? That would be the little...
I'm just like, I don't want people to, take my comments out of context when we have people dying from COVID. But, just from a basketball standpoint, you guys know what I'm saying.
No, of course. You're basically saying no matter what, the show must go on, and someone has to be able to step up in that position. If the same thing happened as an ankle sprain to the superstar, somebody got to step up and take that position. It's the same thing if someone gets sick. I get it. And I appreciate you, Mac, truly, man, for coming out, man, hanging out with us today, man, truly.
Hey, I hear I hear your AAU team's going to play Mike's AAU team. Is that right?
We're going to scrimmage.
Mike been scared the last 2 times, man. I tried to get him a couple weeks ago. We were supposed to scrimmage yesterday.
We had red alert in COVID, Mac. It was a red alert, man. I know, but I'm just saying.
Is there any money on this game at all? Any money on the game?
We might have to put a couple dollars on it.
I'm not a gambler, so I'm just waiting for his guys to walk through the doors so we can, have some basketball, some competition. I need the entertainment.
When you're back, sir, my team will be ready for you guys.
I think what he's trying to do, he's trying to get more practice time in with his guys. Make sure they're ready to go. That's all that is. I understand. You got 10th graders. I got upcoming 9th graders. I get it.
So we're supposed to smack y'all.
I got some 5th graders if you really want something. Come on.
I got 5th graders. I have 5th graders too.
Do you really?
My son.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
So if you want some of this too, hey, bring them over.
Bring it out.
Man, I appreciate you, Mac. Thank you, man.
All right, man. All love. Y'all be good.
Yes, sir. It's a pleasure.
Thank you, T-Mac. Well, that is Mission Bound today. How'd you feel, man?
Man, it was great. T-Mac is a great, not just a great Hall of Famer basketball player, but a great person. Father, dad, and friend. So being able for him to be able to come on the show was an amazing opportunity.
Absolutely, man. We're so glad that you hung out with us today. And here's what we need you to do. If you enjoyed the episode today, you need to get on our Facebook account, our Twitter account, our Instagram account, Mike James TikTok account. It's for real. And you need to come hang out with us because Mission Bound is going to we're going to keep going. And we got more guests to bring in. We're going to keep talking sports, life, a little leadership. Mike, give me a little something. Come on.
My name Mikey James, and I play no games. Everywhere I go, they all scream my name. Go Mikey, go Mikey, go Mikey, go Mikey.
Mission Bound out.